Hello and welcome to Friday's Granada Reports. We're live with the news in the Northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Here's what's coming up on tonight's programme.
2 men are charged with assaulting police after a notorious incident at Manchester Airport, but the officer who put the boot in is cleared. We're live with the latest.
There's just not enough words, I don't think, to describe how grateful we are. The fact that another family who have gone through the worst thing imaginable has thought of somebody else during that time, means everything to us.
The gift of life means transplant patient Freddie and his family can enjoy a Christmas like no other.
Never heard the word tsunami before 2004. And we thought, well, you know, there's a bit of water coming, people have drowned. When we got there, we just couldn't believe the devastation.
Memories flooding back. 20 years on from the Boxing Day tsunami, 2 men who helped those caught up in the disaster say it was the proudest moment of their careers.
Counting down to the weekend's big boxing showdown. Will it be plain sailing as Tyson Fury prepares to deliver in the desert?
2 ladies spotted me and they had to check on Google if it was actually me.
How one of our brightest young stars is adapting to the fame game.
And with it being a big travel weekend over the next couple of days, some very lively weather to come with warnings in place. I'll have all the details later on in the programme.
So please do stay with us. But first, to the brothers who have been charged with assaulting police after a disturbance at Manchester Airport.
Yeah, you may well remember the video of the incident in Terminal 2 was widely shared online in July and prompted protests because it appeared to show a Greater Manchester police officer assaulting a man as he lay on the floor.
Well, Andrew Fletcher joins us now from Greater Manchester Police Headquarters. And Andrew, remind us what took place.
Well, this was back in the summer, on the 23rd of July. There was a series of altercations between passengers arriving at Manchester Airport on a Qatar Airways flight and police. And footage of one of these disturbances by a car park ticketing machine was widely shared online. It appeared to show a police officer kicking a man in the head as he lay on the ground. And it led to protests in Manchester and Rochdale. Footage also emerged of earlier confrontations in which police say 3 officers were injured. Well, the Independent Office for Police Conduct has been investigating 2 officers over these incidents. They were questioned under criminal caution, and earlier this week the IOPC shared information with the Crown Prosecution Service, which has been considering charges. Today, the CPS says it's decided that no officer will face any charges over these incidents. It says that after considering the evidence and expert opinion, there's no realistic prospect of conviction. And that decision has been welcomed by the Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Stephen Watson. One of those officers who has been suspended will now be allowed back to work. Both officers, though, are still under investigation by the IOPC. It says it will decide soon whether they should face any disciplinary action.
But Andrew, 2 of those men will face criminal charges over these disturbances, won't they?
Yes, there are 2 men who'll face charges. They are Mohammed Fahir Amaz, who's 20 and from Rochdale. He's been charged with 2 offences of causing actual bodily harm, 1 charge of assaulting an emergency worker and 1 charge of common assault. And his brother, Mohammed Ahmad, who's 25 and also from Rochdale, he's been charged with causing actual bodily harm. Well, the lawyer for the men says the family is shocked that no police officer has been charged, and they'll be seeking a victim's right of review of that CPS decision. He says that both men maintain their innocence and they will be vigorously contesting the allegations against them. They're due to appear before magistrates in Liverpool on the 16th of January.
OK, Andrew in Manchester, thank you.
Well, next tonight, and this year marks 20 years since the Boxing Day tsunami, when tens of thousands of defenceless people across thousands of miles of coastline were tragically killed after a giant wave struck.
Yeah, almost everything in its path was destroyed in an instant, but there were survivors too.
Yeah, John Metcalf from Liverpool was working in Thailand and suffered horrific injuries when the ocean turned on mankind.
The terrifying sight of nature's fury. Amateur footage of the Boxing Day tsunami captured 20 years ago, when death and destruction came from the sea.
The The 2004 Asian tsunami was triggered by the worst earthquake in 40 years. 151 Britons died, with many from the northwest tragically losing their lives. But amid scenes of unimaginable horror were incredible stories of survival too.
And then I heard like thunder, like big banging, and then next minute like the wave came down, crushed the apartments on top of me, and then I was swimming in water like pitch black, panicking, just getting bashed about for like a minute.
Battered but not broken as he battled to save his leg, John Metcalf from West Derby was 24 when he was swept away on the Thai island of Phi Phi. 20 years later, John works on an oil rig in the Middle East, from where today he recalled how that dream became a nightmare.
All the debris in the water, corrugated iron off roofs that was like on buildings on the island. That was all the debris came into the back of me. It took me half me leg, and wounds on my stomach, my arms, everywhere.
Injuries so severe they're too gruesome to show. John endured 27 consecutive days of operations.
I was working for an oil company in the Persian Gulf, Middle East.
And supporting him, Dad Dave at his bedside, determined to bring his son home.
When I did know he was alive and found out how badly injured he was, oh man, I got upset about that one. But we got through it. When he's in hospital, like I just said, you know, physics and maths, that was the two things you needed to work on in hospital. You're speaking to him in the Persian Gulf, where I came from, to try and help him during that tsunami. And he's there working there now full time, offshore, just like anybody else, you know, after all that's happened.
It's been a hell of a journey, to be honest, in the last 20 years. Plus I've had two daughters in that time as well. I've got two little girls. So a lot's happened in the last 20 years. And with the job wise, yeah, I'm happy where I am. I'm glad where we are. We kept going.
A father and son with the Boxing Day tsunami after the ocean turned on humanity in moments. 20 years later, the terrible toll of the Asian tsunami is now fully known.
Well, earlier I spoke to two former police officers who were deployed in the aftermath of the tsunami to the island of Phuket, and whose job it was to recover and identify thousands of bodies.
Yeah, Graham Neild and Jed Nelson were part of a team of specially trained officers who volunteered to go out there working in temporary mortuaries in 45-degree heat.
I began by asking them whether the tsunami felt like it happened 20 years ago.
It does feel like 20 years. Obviously, I retired in 2016, but the tsunami obviously had a very, very large impact on me personally. And it's something that both myself and Jed speak about virtually every time we meet, don't we? Yep. When you're dealing with death on such a large scale, obviously it's bound to have an effect on your not only your emotional well-being, but the working practices over there also had an effect on our physical well-being as well.
Do you know, I actually described it, Gamal, as a film set. That was the way I approached it. It was incredible, the devastation, the damage, the amount of destruction that had happened. It was absolutely incredible. Incredible. We saw swimming pools full of sand. There were buildings where the wave had hit, approximately 30 metres high, and just left a straight line right along the ridge tiles on the roof. And it sort of gave us all an impression of the sort of size of the system, or the size of what the devastation was and what we were going to be dealing with.
The scene was incredibly difficult, I can imagine. Temperatures of 45 degrees heat. You've got a job to do, you're focused, you're trained, but surely nothing prepares you for what you had to undertake.
No, it was definitely more impactful when we first arrived. We weren't sure, you know, there's a certain amount of trepidation, as much as they were all professionals.
I didn't even know what a tsunami was. I'd never heard the word tsunami before 2004. And we thought, well, you know, there's a bit of water coming, people have drowned. When we got there, we just couldn't believe the devastation, as Jed's already touched on. There were buildings and the footings had been washed away. There was no infrastructure. Bearing in mind, this is at the end of January, beginning of February, so they had 4 weeks virtually to try and get things back on track. But the devastation was just terrible. It was really, really a lot worse than we thought it was going to be.
Jed, you went to an orphanage where you met kids there and you gave them some footballs and some clothes, football kits. And tell us about that moment, because I can imagine it was a moment of relief amidst all the chaos and the carnage.
It was both, Gamal, to be honest with you. We realised that these children had been left with no parents. We'd made conscious efforts before we actually left the UK to try and get as much, shall we call it, kit together for them. And, you know, certain contacts that we all had throughout the job, we were able to get bits and bats of stuff for them. And it ranged from everything, as you can see, to footballs, to key rings, to pens. But it also made us realise that we wanted to help them as well. As much as we were there to deal with the deceased, we wanted to help the children, or try and just give them a little bit of joy and adversity at the time.
In the process, we're not supposed to cross one with the other, so you either work with the deceased or you work with the families. And there was a little bit of trepidation really about us going and meeting these children, but it did provide us with a really, it was comforting to see them, and they were so happy to see us. And as I say, everybody knows Manchester United. You know, there were children running around, you know, playing with a real Manchester United football and wearing football shirts. And if we could just bring like one little bit of, just a tiny piece of happiness into their lives after the, you know, such sort of devastating effects that the tsunami had on them and the families, then it was a real comfort.
Yeah, many thanks to Graham and Jed for talking to us. I mean, it was really interesting having that conversation, because you really felt that when you spoke it to them, they were taking you right back to 20 years ago, like it was only yesterday.
Yeah, and I think you forget just how devastating those scenes were out there.
Yeah.
Hard to believe 20 years have gone.
I was actually working in Sri Lanka in 2004, and I arrived back in the UK 2 weeks before the tsunami struck.
Gosh.
So all the areas that we went and were working in got completely obliterated. Yeah, heartbreaking stuff.
Well, next tonight, and a 4-year-old boy from Lancashire is celebrating his first full Christmas at home after having a heart transplant.
Yes, Freddie Wells from Preston received his donor heart in the autumn of last year and spends Christmas 2023 in intensive care, recovering from the operation.
Well, before that, he was either in hospital or the family's festive period was hit by the COVID pandemic. Now, Freddie's parents say they'll always be grateful to his donor family. Our correspondent Andy Bonner has been to meet them.
Freddie Wiles is a bundle of energy. It's a task just to get him to sit still.
Hello, I'm Freddie.
He's living proof of the importance of organ donation.
How much are you all looking forward to this Christmas?
We can't wait. Are you excited for Christmas? Yeah? We've been away from home for the past 2 years, so it's been very different. I mean, although the hospitals make Christmas very special and magical still, it's just not the same as being at home with your family and your friends and being able to celebrate how you want to celebrate it.
This time last year, Freddie was recovering from a heart transplant.
We have just seen the biggest difference in him. Pre-transplant, he struggled with a lot, like even breathing. So he literally just suffered, really. It was really sad to watch. But now this transplant's given him a completely new lease of life. And it's just lovely to see him doing what normal children his age should be doing.
And obviously, I suppose a lot of it is down to that campaign and the doll. Tell me about all of that.
Yeah, he had a little doll there after him. So if you scan the QR code, he comes up with his story. It definitely made a difference, didn't it?
I mean, I think the idea obviously behind the dolls was to get people talking more about organ donation. Children aren't automatically donors either, they have to be registered, don't they? So I think it's just getting those conversations out there. Like Freddie wouldn't be here if it wasn't for organ donation.
So what I get, if it is Christmas decorations, I get to it.
Freddie's now well enough to tell his own Christmas jokes, but hundreds of other children are still waiting for a gift Santa can't bring.
Unfortunately, people waiting for an organ, their only chance of survival is an organ transplant from another person, and whether that be an adult or a child, and knowing the positivities of your life and the fun that you're having, could you pass that on to another person, is kind of give that gift to another person would be amazing.
We think about Freddie's donor every day, and I think everything that we do now, we do for them as well.
How grateful are you?
We're very grateful just to be able to have this Christmas at home. I don't think there are enough words to actually express to our donor just how grateful we are, just to give Freddie that chance of life.
It's the best thing we could have ever hoped for.
Andy Bonner, ITV News, Preston.
Oh, lovely Freddie. We wish him and his family the most wonderful Christmas.
Yeah, OK, time for sport now, and we can get more reaction to the takeover at Everton. Hi, Mike.
Yeah, hi, guys. Yeah, this is the first chance we've had to hear from the club's manager. Usually when new owners come in at a football club, there are rumours that they might fancy a new manager, but Sean Dyche says he's been told he has the support of those new owners. Everton were taken over by the Friedkin Group yesterday, bringing an end to years of instability and uncertainty at Goodison Park. Dyche says he's held a meeting with the club's new executive chairman, Mark Watts, this morning, and he appears confident about his future.
He'd made it quite clear face to face, and happy for me to tell you that they've got nothing other than the support for me, the staff and the team. Like I say, you've got to win games, that's a natural process, but yeah, nothing but support, no other thoughts on anything other. I hope it brings a positive feel. We're trying to do that through the team, of course, and results, but it's a nice backdrop if the club seemingly is in a stable position to move forwards again.
Across Stanley Park, and Liverpool have been drawn against Tottenham Hotspur in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup. Liverpool, the cup holders of course, will play the first of the two legs away from home at the start of January. Manchester City have suffered a fresh injury blow, with defender Ruben Diaz ruled out for up to 4 weeks. He suffered a muscular problem in last week's Manchester derby. City head to Aston Villa in the Premier League tomorrow, having lost 8 of their last 11 games in all competitions.
We are not winning games, we have to win games. It doesn't matter circumstances, the problems, yes, but we have to do it. And we are not doing that. And I know that the moment we can get a good result, so the team is coming back and we'll be back. And this is what I try to do.
Now to the big sporting event over the weekend, and it's 4,000 miles away from the northwest in Saudi Arabia. Tomorrow night, Morecambe's Tyson Fury will bid to avenge the only defeat of his career when he climbs into the ring for his eagerly anticipated heavyweight world title rematch with Alexander Usyk. And as Chris Hall reports, Fury's not the only northwest fighter in action in Riyadh.
They'd waited half a year to lock eyes again. Getting them unlocked took a while too. For 11 minutes, Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk stared each other down to get a mental edge for a fight which needs no hard sell.
Can't wait for Saturday night. Thank you, everybody involved. God bless.
Just 1 point separated them on 2 of the scorecards as Usyk became the undisputed champion in May. So while he's been in the driving seat this week, Fury, like his flight to Saudi Arabia, was all business.
Tyson Fury!
The only show in town, the Gypsy King. Get up! Biggest event of my life. So yeah, pretty much the same. One biggest event to the next biggest event. Looking forward to putting on the show, as always.
It will be great fight. I feel good. What I feel I win. Peter Blood McGrail.
It's been a long journey for Liverpool's super bantamweight Peter McGrail, the former Commonwealth Games champion, who's been dreaming of nights like these since he was a boy.
I've always watched Usyk. I just believe his footwork and everything he does, his IQ. He's unbelievable, know what I mean? And that's another big thing I'm looking forward to. After I've won my fight, watching Usyk live. I know Usyk's looking to steal the show, but I'm coming to steal the show December the 21st.
After Dennis McCann failed a drugs test, Peter will now face the unbeaten Rhys Edwards in his debut in Riyadh, where fellow Everton Red Triangle fighter Nick Ball won his world title in June.
I was with him every step of the way over there in the changing room, sitting there ringside, so you know, I think it's the same arena where we're fighting, so it's not going to be nothing new for me. I'm expecting the same from all the lads, and we're all over there as a team. It's going to be another boss night for me in the gym.
While Peter's title fights could be a coming attraction, tomorrow's main feature has had the Hollywood trailer treatment.
Don't be afraid. I will not
you sleep at night, ugly man? You're gonna think of me. I'm gonna punch your face in. Shut up!
They're in each other's heads 24/7, but after leaving his 777, Fury says he carries no baggage from that first fight.
I'm gonna knock him out. I'm gonna give Turkey what I promised him in May.
Talks, it's only talks. Listen, we'll see. It's God's will. I'm ready. I'm ready to fight.
Favourite moment is getting my hand raised on Saturday night. And the new!
Just one day to wait to see if the sequel lives up to the original. A fight night no boxing fan can take their eyes off. Chris Hall, ITV News.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
OK, Mike, just before you go, it is our last full Granada Reports of the year. Very sad news. But the team set you a bit of a challenge to come up with your top 5 sporting stars of the year. A difficult task, I know, given how much talent we do have in our region. So who have you picked?
Yeah, it is a really difficult challenge, this. If I'd picked everyone that had achieved something, I'd still be sat here on New Year's Day. But I'm going to go back to the start of 2024 and to a young man who became an overnight sensation. Luke Littler, of course, from Warrington, making it all the way to the World Darts Championship final at just 16 years of age, and he's gone on to win multiple titles this year. Now, I then jumped to the summer, to the Olympics, when Atherton's Keely Hodgkinson won gold in the 800 metres. We'd followed Keely's career for many years on this programme, so it was really special to see her success. And from a first Olympic gold medal to a 19th Paralympic gold, Dame Sarah Story, of course, cycling away from Paris with 2 more for her collection, one of the all-time greats.
Oh yeah, great choices. So that is 3, 2 left to go, and you've gone for 2 that have finished on a real high at the end of the year, haven't you?
Yeah, that's right, Katie. Next up, I've gone for a coach. Now, we are blessed, aren't we, to have so many great managers and coaches here in the Northwest, but nobody can touch this man's achievements this year. Matt Peat leading Wigan Warriors to a quadruple of trophies in rugby league, including the title of World Champions. And finally, another world champion and a winner right at the end of the year, Liverpool's Natasha Jonas, ending 2024 by unifying the IBF and WBC World Welterweight titles just last weekend. Tash is 40 years old and still at the very top of her sport. So there's 5. I could have done 50. Maybe Tyson Fury we can add to that tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I didn't have to pick, that's all I'm going to say. Thanks very much, Mike. OK, now, you guys at home, maybe as a couple of weeks ago, you may remember that we told you about 2 young girls from Manchester who landed starring roles in the film Wicked, possibly the most anticipated film of the year, starring Ariana Grande.
Yeah, well, one of those girls, Caris, who played young Elphaba, is now starring not only on the big screen, but on stage too, as the theatre home in Manchester prepares to celebrate 10 years since it first opened. Caris, who is also 10, takes the stage in her hometown in Miracle on 34th Street.
And she chats again to our entertainment correspondent, Caroline Whitmore.
Your whiskers aren't all loose.
Aren't all what?
Aren't all loose at the sides.
Caris, how could I forget your adorable face? Because we met only a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yeah.
We're besties almost. We met in Failsworth at Elm Arts, your drama school, because you landed a role in the biggest film of the year, Wicked, excuse me.
Don't be afraid.
And now you're here on stage at home in Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, it's just amazing to be in both of those. They're just such brilliant production.
What's your name?
Susan Walker. What's yours?
Well, me, I'm Santa Claus.
There's a few of you, isn't there, who were playing Susan?
Lily and there's Harriet. They're both such amazing people. We're all our different type of Susan, though. They're like my best friends. As soon as we met, we just bonded together.
Ah!
They are real!
Of course they're real.
It's about a little girl who doesn't believe in Christmas. She makes a new friend, Fred. He takes her to see Santa Claus.
And it's great for you because you're from Manchester, aren't you? So you're 10 years old and Home is 10 years old in January.
It's an amazing theatre.
It's here in Tony Wilson Place in Manchester. It's really important for people to come out and support their local theatres and support local talent from around the area.
We chatted to Caris. Have you given her any advice?
God, Karis, what should you do? What I said to Karis is just don't lose that imagination as you go through all your jobs.
Now, Adam, who might you be playing, I wonder?
I'll give you 2 guesses to see who you think I might be playing. The original musical was written in the 1960s and it was called Here's Love, which is actually the name of one of the songs in the show. But it was based on the 1940s black and white movie. And people may know that one, or they may know the one that was remade in the 90s. This musical is based on the one from the 40s. It's amazing that you've got places like Home making their own work and they're supporting local artists, and you're getting creatives and performers who are from the Northwest rather than everything always being so focused on being in the West End and London.
Now, what do you want for Christmas?
What do you think I should ask for?
If you could get anything from Santa this year, what would it be?
Like a wish or a thing?
Well, let's go for a wish.
Wish that people who don't believe in Santa Claus or Christmas start believing in it, because it's magical.
Yes! I love that wish. Have you got spotted since being on the big screen in Wicked?
Yeah, 2 ladies spotted me and they had to check on Google if it was actually me.
Young Elphaba's in Manchester. That's where she is. So everybody remember the name Karis Musangoli, because you are a superstar already.
Thank you.
Well, plastic alligators are a lot of fun. And you could get one at Gimbals.
Gimbals?
Destined for greatness.
Absolutely a name to watch out for. Now, you guys at home might be as surprised as I was earlier this week to find out that Gamal here, despite reaching middle age, has never actually owned...
Middle age? How dare you?
He's never actually owned, let me get to the point,
Sorry.
A Christmas jumper, and I just couldn't have that. So I've gone for something very subtle, very understated. Just hold that up. Okay, excuse me, reaching over.
Well, this is fabulous.
Okay, ready? And that's not all.
Okay. Okay.
And now for the weather, here's Joe.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
Thank you. A very good evening to you. Certainly an unsettled weekend ahead weather-wise, with some very strong winds developing across the north of the UK. In general, it's turning colder with spells of showery rain on both days. But by next week, beginning to settle down, and for Christmas itself, much quieter weather ahead. Before that, we can see low pressure, associated front and very tightly packed isobars for tomorrow across the UK. This means strong winds, and there's likely to be rain at first, followed by showers tomorrow. Into Sunday, the air turns colder, winds will remain very strong, and there's the likelihood of some snow on higher ground to start the day. That's them. This is now, and in the meantime this evening, quiet conditions here in the northwest at first, but winds picking up ahead of that front, beginning to move in from the west as we approach dawn, and as you can see, some rather heavy rain associated with it. Temperature-wise tonight, 7 or 8 Celsius, beginning to lift a little more as that rain and those strong winds move in by dawn tomorrow. On to tomorrow. First of all, the sun will be up at 8:27, setting at 3:52. Now, a big travel day, of course, across the country tomorrow. It's worth bearing in mind winds will really be picking up through the middle of the morning. And for our part of the world, a wind warning is in place through the day tomorrow and again on Sunday. Strong and gusty winds with rain being replaced by showers through the afternoon. It remains pretty unsettled, especially on the region's higher routes, so take care if you're out and about. A mild day tomorrow, but turning colder tomorrow night with snow on higher ground to start Sunday.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada Weather.
Joe, thank you very much. We are definitely ready for the catwalk.
All I would say is it's going to be very wet this weekend, so don't wear it outside because you might get a shock.
Fabulous. Have a happy Christmas. We'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.